Johor negeri kita, masyhur megah maju jaya, kemakmuran bersama tanpa ada sengketa demi rakyat semua. Luaskanlah kuasamu negeri Johor, Johor negeri kita. Ayo semua kita bangkit demi Malaysia, bersama kita perjuangkan amanat kita bersama. Ayo semua pilihlah Barisan Nasional demi kestabilan masa depan, jaminan untuk semua. Ayo semua kita bangkit demi Malaysia, bersama kita perjuangkan amanat kita bersama. Ayo semua pilihlah Barisan Nasional demi kestabilan masa depan, jaminan untuk semua. Ayo semua kita bangkit demi Malaysia, bersama kita perjuangkan amanat kita bersama. Ayo semua pilihlah Barisan Nasional demi kestabilan masa depan, jaminan ini hanya untuk semua. Johor negeri kita. Biru merah berkibar, tersemat di hujung hati, membina rasa bangga, semangat berterusan demi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam makmur Johor. Again with me Muhammad Syafiq Fadli from Studio Komunikasi Barisan Nasional dalam program Diskusi Johor in conjunction with Johor State Election. Today in our studio we have a very special guest in special edition. With me is Datuk RAHMAN DAHLAN, Ahli Majlis Kerja Tertinggi UMNO or UMNO Supreme Council Members. Assalamualaikum Datuk.
Waalaikumsalam. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Our pleasure actually to have you here because I think we are going to have a very good discussion today. How long you've been in Johor so far?
I've been here for, I think, roughly about 2 weeks now.
Oh, wow, 2 weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks and in and out. And, well, as a Supreme Council member and very closely working with BN Command Center, I have to be here to monitor the development of our strategies, our activities in these state elections.
How do you see the campaign?
Alhamdulillah, so far I think the people of Johor, I mean, generally wherever I go, we could feel the vibes, the feel-good factor. I think the people of Johor really want to bring back stability, and I think the only way for political stability to be translated is to return Barisan Nasional to the state government.
Why stability is so important? Because in fact, before the G14, people are talking about good governance, people are talking about no more corruption,
openness, transparency,
integrity, and so on. But now people are talking about stability since, in fact, in all the elections that we had, including the Malacca state election, we are talking about stability.
We found out after 4 years, people are longing for stability because I think they realized very quickly that openness, transparency, these are what I call universal values. Universal values such as transparency, accountability, good governance, anti-corruption. These are major issues, and rightly so. But they also quickly realized that in order for them to have good life, provide for their families, future of their children, they understand that stability is the base of everything else. Now, what UMNO has been trying to do in the last few years also, we also have transformed ourselves. If you could see now our leaders in Parliament, especially DATUK Seri Azalina, for example, the Member of Parliament for Pengerang Johor, she has been very vocal in introducing reforms, in institutional reforms in Parliament. So you could see UMNO is tilting towards that. Not enough yet, but we are gaining momentum and putting a reform of the institutions front and center as our policy. So I think when people talk about stability, they really long for the times and years that the Barisan Nasional provided comfortable living, huge opportunity for the future. And I think that's what they wanted first. And all the political parties must understand you must balance out the universal values that you've been fighting for with very hardcore experience in developing and merancang ekonomi negara.
But can't Pakatan Harapan 22 months and Perikatan Nasional 17 months offered that to the people?
That's exactly the point. They have failed miserably. I think people gave them that opportunity in 2018 on the basis of universal values. But unfortunately, they quickly realized also that Pakatan Harapan could not deliver the fundamental issue of development or even what do you call this, perancangan, planning for development. This has to be balanced out. Now, I spoke to a lot of people about this before. While PH is known to be championing the universal values, and UMNO and Barisan Nasional has been known as a champion for development. People, when they try to balance out, now, for PH to be strong on development, it takes time.
Yeah.
I mean, it took us 60 years.
Yeah.
But for Barisan Nasional to embrace universal values, we can do it in PAU in 16th of March.
Yeah.
That's how fast we could turn around the party to embrace stronger values in reform. So moving forward, I believe Barisan Nasional and UMNO in particular have a better chance to change the landscape of politics in Malaysia by just simply embracing this agenda of reform. And that could be done very quickly. While on the other hand, PH and Perikatan Nasional, and PH in particular, while they are the champions, so-called champions in the eyes of the people of universal values, it will take time for them to master the development planning of the country.
Why you say champion?
Well, we have done quite a lot, Barisan Nasional, in fact, but unfortunately, I think the message did not reach to the people quite easily. We, for example, we started off with reform of political funding, but DAP did not agree to it. We came up with MSCC, which is even much better version of anti-corruption agency than BPR before, or ACA. We have set up special corruption courts. We have done quite a bit, but unfortunately, the message did not reach the people as fast as it should be. But if we are given the opportunity to lead the state of Johor and also the nation, I believe, and I really terribly hoping that UMNO will start moving into reform, which I think is quite possible with new understanding, new realization that this is what the people of Malaysia want.
One issue which is kind of like major issue for Barisan Nasional in Johor state election is about the cluster mahkamah. Perikatan Nasional especially is still begging on that, saying that if you vote for Barisan Nasional and these cluster mahkamah will go free. Isn't that a reform that you want to say, but still yet cluster mahkamah is there to campaign in this Johor state election?
Well, we all know that Datuk Sri Najib, for example, has gone through a lot. He lost in the High Court, he lost in the Appeals Court. Now he has the opportunity to clear his name in the Supreme Court or the Federal Courts. Yeah, let the wheel of justice takes its course. Yeah, I think he should be given that opportunity. But I think so a lot of people asking me, why is it that PH and PN is still using Datuk Sri Najib, Datuk Sri Zahid as a punching bag in every election, and in every time they lost badly. Yeah, in Melaka they lost badly, in Sarawak they lost badly, and they've been losing the by-elections, the last 7 by-elections. Well, there are several factors, and I think PH should understand this, and PN. Satu, kita ada adat Melayu ni. Orang yang dah jatuh, nak ditepuk tangga, kita nak robohkan lagi rumah, lentam lagi dia, hentak kepala dia. I think there is an element of, it's not sympathy, but people are fed up. I mean, for all intent and purposes, Datuk Sri Najib and Datuk Sri Zahid have gone through the motion of going through the courts, trying to clear their names and whatnot, right? So I think among the Malays, they say, okay, these two gentlemen are going through very hard life, and in terms of facing the courts, and let them handle it. And Datuk Najib and Datuk Zahid have been consistently saying that they want to clear their name in the courts, right? At the same time, if you look at ironically, if someone who has been convicted like Datuk Sri Najib still command huge support all over the country. In Johor, people want to selfie with him, group selfie with him and whatnot, and giving him huge reception everywhere he goes. What does that tell you? It tells you that's how bad is the Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional. Ironically, that is the message. You keep saying that Datuk Sri Najib is a convicted criminal, and yet people still want to be with him, support him. Why? That's how bad you are. As an alternative to Barisan Nasional, as an alternative to Datuk Sri Najib. So I think the people of Malaysia understand that these two gentlemen, they're still going through the motion of going through the justice system and clearing their name, and we give them the benefit of the doubt. But in the meantime, the people are actually upset with Perikatan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan by focusing on Datuk Sri Najib in every election when they want Perikatan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan to tell them what they want to do for their future. Can you imagine, you go and watch video of all leaders of Perikatan Nasional, inevitably you will hear the word of Datuk Sri Najib that, Datuk Sri Najib this.
And not a single thing about the future.
No, seriously, their world is revolving around trying to bombardment of insult and towards Datuk Sri Najib. That's all. And I think the people of Johor want a party that can give them some direction of the future. Datuk Najib is a done deal case. He is going through the motion, and we wish him the best of luck, and we hope he will win his appeal in the federal court. But in the meantime, the issue in Johor is all about the future, stability, the people's life, the bread and butter issue.
Yeah, it's true. But some of the people claims, especially Pakatan Harapan, claims that they have not given enough time. 22 months are not sufficient for them to reform or transform the nation. And also, just like Muhyiddin said, in 17 months, what things that you could do, especially facing the pandemic. Do you think that if we give enough time for them, more than what they should be, Malaysia or Johor can be better? Not at all.
I think 22 months was far too long for them to hold on to power. Remember, first of all, they were removed or defeated or dijatuhkan from being federal government, not by us. It's by their own kind. And but 22 months, serious damages to the economy, to the social fabric of this nation, the future of this country. Anything more than that was just suicidal politically and economically. Even 17 months, never in the entire history of this country or even the world where you suspend parliament, democratic system, just to hold on to power. So 22 months and 17 months, too long. They have damaged a lot. And we know very well that the economy is still reeling. Debt is still now what, $1 trillion over. A lot of people lost their jobs and lost their businesses. And I think this require an a lot of fixing up, and I'm not even sure how fast BN can fix this. So 22 months is enough. In fact, if you ask me, that was too long for them to be in power before they do serious and irreversible damage to the economy.
But they keep on promising things. In current manifesto, they are talking about recharging the economy of Johor. Even Perikatan Nasional said the same thing. While they, as you said, they failed miserably. They had two Menteri Besar in Johor itself. So how do you think that Johorians can believe to whatever they promise this time?
You know, when you plan and when you promise something, I think people now want to know whether you have that. I mean, macam you pergi interview lah, or even asking for loan from banks, they want to know your background. You can't be just going there and say, hey, please hire me, but you don't have experience, right? And when you had the experience, you blew it. And I think the people of Johor will not believe any kind of promises made by them. I think their image has been damaged and has been compromised beyond repair. I think the people of Johor understand that 2018 is a blip on a radar. You know, it's a very special circumstances where Barisan Nasional lost the state government and federal government. But I think this time around, they do put premium on experience in developing and planning for the economy, which I think no one else has it except for Barisan Nasional.
But I still cannot believe that they're still talking confidently that they should be able to recharge and gain momentum.
Well, dreaming is free. You can say anything about your party, but I think at the end of the day, people want to know whether you could deliver. And they have tried you, and I mean, Mazli Malik apologized.
Yeah.
And bow his head just like a Japanese, Japanese, you know, doing this bowing and say, I'm sorry for all the mistakes. Real apologies.
Yeah.
I mean, Mazli Malik was Perikatan Nasional before, and now Pakatan Harapan. I mean, if Mazli Malik, supposedly the next Menteri Besar of Johor, coming from PH, apologized profusely in front of the public, that means we don't have to say it. They have done something wrong.
Yeah. In current campaign process, you could see that Pakatan Harapan, Perikatan Nasional, Pejuang, and many other parties been campaigning for more than actually 2 weeks before, even during the nomination itself. And it's centered around attacking Barisan Nasional alone. And it's only Barisan Nasional.
Yeah, it's a tag team.
Yeah, it's a tag team. It's just like they are actually cooperating each other. Pakatan Harapan, Perikatan Nasional, and the rest of the parties not attacking themselves, but attacking Barisan Nasional. Why do you think that way?
I think, Shafiq, I don't know who advised these leaders, Perikatan Nasional, Pakatan Harapan, Pejuang, even Warisan and Muda. You know, if you want to attack Barisan Nasional, you might as well have a coalition. Have a coalition and fight it gentlemanly, one-to-one. And your votes will not split.
Yeah.
But you entered into the election, seminggu dah berlepas, 1 week has passed, and you realize that you could not take on Barisan Nasional one-to-one, so you gang up against Barisan Nasional, right?
Yeah.
But then, you know, on the ballot paper, everybody's name is there. So I assume and I predict that their support base will be split while Barisan Nasional is intact. And the fact that they could not come up with a single manifesto, a single platform to fight Barisan Nasional, and what they did was to just, you know, let it go and everybody can just free for all. That shows that they had no coordinated and coherent policy against Barisan Nasional. And after 1 week of campaigning, and they see that Barisan Nasional is gaining momentum, so they try again to get together and be a team attacking Barisan Nasional. Now, what will come out of that? That is a repeat of the mistake in 2018. You have Anwar Ibrahim, Tun Mahathir, Muhyiddin, and Lim Kit Siang ganging up against Barisan Nasional when nobody could believe that Tun Mahathir could sit next to Lim Kit Siang, Tun Mahathir could sit next to Anwar Ibrahim. If you look at that picture, it gives you warm feeling that the opposition is united against this mighty Barisan Nasional. But that is the recipe, and it was the recipe for disaster in 2018, when you have greatly different ideological parties getting together, with one single intention is to defeat Barisan Nasional. This election is not about defeating Barisan Nasional. This election in Johor is about the future of Johor. While we talk about the future of Johor, these people, whether they are Perikatan Nasional or Pakatan Harapan or Pejuang or Warisan or Muda, what come out from their mouth is just to defeat us. And that is the biggest difference between UMNO, Barisan Nasional, and them. While we don't want to talk about them, we prefer to talk about the future of Bangsa Johor and how do we move forward and bring back the glory of Johor in the context of the economy in Malaysia and the region. Every day you listen to their ceramah, it's all about how bad it is. You see, I have a very simple concept. I hope the people of Johor will understand this. You don't ask a vote because that guy is bad. You should ask the vote of Johorians because this is what you can do. You are better than that guy in terms of policy. You can't just go there, undilah saya sebab you ni jahat, you ni perompak, you ni penipu. You shouldn't do that because you could be even worse. What you should say to the Johorian is that vote for me, Perikatan Nasional, Pakatan Harapan, because this is what I can do for the people of Johor. So I think seriously there is a serious miscalculation in terms of strategy among the opposition parties.
Let's talk about development. I think one of the biggest regret and disappointment that we have in Johor especially is the cancellation of a few mega projects that benefit the people. We look at the RTS, we look at the HSR. What are the benefits of these projects and why Johor is so much losing the benefits of that? On an individual basis level, I was involved in 3 major projects in Johor, namely the HSR, the RTS, and the Aramco investment in Pengerang. You were the...
Well, I was a signatory for HSR on behalf of the federal government. I was signing in front of the Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Najib, and Prime Minister Singapore. And I signed on behalf of Malaysia. And when we lost the election, when they cancelled HSR, I was, at a personal level, very disappointed. And they paid 320 million ringgit compensation. And now they wanted to revive it back again. So the HSR, as we all know it, Kuala Lumpur, the Lembah Kelang, or Klang Valley, and Singapore are the 2 most prosperous region economically in Southeast Asia. I mean, you can't physically bring KL to Singapore or Singapore nearer to Klang Valley. They are a few hundred miles, a few hundred kilometers apart. So the only way you can integrate the economy, and remember, in economy, 1 + 1 that not necessarily equals to 2. 1 + 1 could equal to 10. If you integrate the economy of the Klang Valley and Singapore quite seamlessly, you will get a super economic region. So that's the reason why we want the HSR. So that you could be doing business in KL and stay in Singapore, or you do it in Singapore, and you can integrate the economy quite well. And we've seen that around the world, where like Shenzhen and Hong Kong and whatnot. So along the way, we have several stations, and we insisted that 3 stations should be in Johor. One is in Muar, Batu Pahat, and Iskandar Puteri, and the depot is in Pontian. Now, along the way, it's not just station. We have a concept called transit development, TOD, transit-oriented development. What that means is every station that we build along the jajaran landasan HSR ni, along the route, every town like Batu Pahat, we have also surveyed and made preparation planning on what industries we should have there in Batu Pahat, in Muar, and in Iskandar Puteri. So the entire city will benefiting not just in terms of movement of people, but industries. That's why we call it transit-oriented development. So 3 major cities in Johor will get specific treatment in terms of economic planning. Now, for RTS, it's very important because RTS is, we discussed before the show started. I was going through some old news, and I found out that the DAP chairman of Johor, the chairman of DAP Johor, which happens to be the candidate for Perling, Liu Chin Tong, Senator Liu Chin Tong. I found out that he suggested, in order to solve the traffic jam in Tambak Johor, in Causeway, he actually suggested a walk letter from
like
Johor,
the one that
the one in KLIA. Walk all the way, it's a moving platform. And that was his answer to the problem of traffic jam in Tambak Johor, in Causeway. While Barisan Nasional is offering ultra-modern, world-class rapid transit system, where we will bring the system of MRT in Singapore connected to Johor Bahru. That's how different our thinking is in terms of the future of this country. While DAP is, they're proposing walk later, we're proposing a ultra-modern, world-class MRT system that will connect, that will extend MRT system of Singapore to Johor Bahru. That's how the level of thinking is. And of course, in Pengerang, I personally, under the instruction of Datuk Sri Najib, the Prime Minister then, went to Riyadh and concluded the deal with Aramco. And the only reason why Aramco chose Johor, Pengerang in specifically, apart from Malaysia is an economic tiger in this region, is because of the political stability. They could easily spend that $7 billion US or 31 billion ringgit in Singapore. I mean, Singapore is already very established for oil and gas. They could also go to Jakarta, to Indonesia or India. They told me. And I asked them, why did you choose Johor? Finally, he said, one reason only. Political stability. One, and the track record of the government of Barisan Nasional. And that was 2016 when they made that decision.
I've been informed that the investment in Pengerang is the biggest investment.
It is the biggest investment, single largest investment, 31 billion ringgit. And you must remember that Rapid, where Aramco invested the $7 billion US, is a small component of the whole integrated complex for Pengerang. Actually, the whole Pengerang integrated complex for petroleum and gas would eventually see investment of about 27 billion US dollars. So what Aramco invested in some other, they probably between 7 to 10 billion. So we still have a long way to go. But none of these companies would come to Johor if we don't have stability.
But now, the state of Johor is not as good as before. Yeah, if you look at the GDP growth, is like half of what we've achieved before, and the foreign direct investment also dropped tremendously. And many other economic indicators shows that Johor is moving backwards instead of forward. When we offer in our manifesto, we call it as Ikhtiar Barisan Nasional Johor. Do you think that will revive the economy and compared to what been offered by Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional?
Let me put it this way. The economy has been damaged beyond repair, if you ask me, by Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional. But fortunately, we still have those fundamentals still intact. Our ports is not damaged, for example. Our highways are still there. Our infrastructure is still there. We didn't go to war. Basically, the economy is in ruins, but we didn't go to war. So those basic infrastructure are still there. We still have our ports, our airports, our railway, and so we could start from the bottom. There's no way to start except the bottom, because we are nowhere near our peers in Southeast Asia. So I think we must be confident enough. I'm not saying that the job of repairing the economy is huge. Can you imagine the federal debt is already reaching beyond 1 trillion ringgit, and people are just literally tired. But there's one thing that's good about Malaysia is that if you give them enough incentive and you tell them this is the way forward and give them a good narrative, good planning, the people of Malaysia will rise up again.
But do you think that you have confidence that if the people of Johor decided to give back to Barisan Nasional, that we can do that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said to you, we are lucky that fundamentally Port of Johor is still there, Senai is still there, HSR will be built again, and Hasni, Datuk Sri Hasni, is a person who is very serious in terms of his planning. So I think with all these coming in together, I'm very optimistic. It's just that it will take a little bit of time. Because the damage caused is tremendous.
But why can't Pakatan Harapan or Perikatan Nasional do that? Why?
They just don't have the experience. They will be politicking the very first day they're in office. That's it. They don't think about it. I mean, if you declare Sarawak as bankrupt, can you imagine telling the whole world that Sarawak is bankrupt when they have the biggest reserve in the country?
Yeah.
And Lim Guan Eng, as Minister of Finance, went to Sarawak and said that in front of the Sarawakians' faces. And you can't do that.
But Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin keep on repeating himself that...
Exactly. I mean, he was hinting that the economy was worse than what it is. I mean, you are ex-prime minister. Have some responsibility. These are the things that you don't say outwardly. I mean, would you tell about what's going on with your wife, your family, to your neighbors? You don't do that. If there is problem, fix it. But you don't tell the whole world how bad Malaysia is.
But he seems confident that he will take care of Johor even better than Barisan Nasional.
Well, we tried, and I leave it to the people of Johor to decide. I mean, if you ask me, I don't have any confidence in his ability. But obviously, at the end of the day, the Johorians will decide. But I think enough track record and his economic policies. The fact that he dared to suspend Parliament itself is already a major issue for me. Who knows, in the future, to hang on to power, he might do that again. And that's very bad. That's why people don't want to come to Malaysia. Put aside COVID and whatnot. The fact that...
But it is about COVID, isn't it?
It is about COVID, but then again, everybody gets COVID.
Yeah.
All the countries in Southeast Asia, around the world, is experiencing COVID. But why is it that we are not getting the FDI? Why are not getting the investment? Why is Indonesia is getting over $1 billion? I mean, I'm sure, good luck to Indonesia, right? But we know we're better. So the fact that everybody gets COVID, that need to realize that factor. Now, you have to look at, again, what are the other factors that really ruin the economy? It's the leadership. I mean, if you suspend Parliament just to hang on to power, no one will come here. No one will come to Malaysia knowing very well that this, if that was Tan Sri Muhyiddin became Prime Minister again, he would do the same thing. Even if he said no, because he did it.
Is it really a problem or an issue if Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional cannot name a person to become the next Majlis?
Exactly. I've been waiting. I thought they would announce their candidate during the introduction of their manifesto. So can you imagine you want to form a state government without a candidate? I mean, in Sabah, they were very fast.
Yeah.
But in Johor, and you know very well that they just don't have any confidence among any of their calon adun.
But that tells you, isn't it, that they cannot form a good government.
How do you implement this manifesto when you can't even have one single person be nominated as your candidate for Menteri Besar?
Yeah, so that person should take responsibility and ownership of the manifesto.
Correct. Unlike us, we have Datuk Hasni going around. Yes, I'm the Menteri Besar if we win, and I will implement this. Easy.
Yeah. Okay, Datuk, if you have a few words to Johorians, especially the young voters, and also don't forget about our voters in Singapore,
Yeah.
who will come back on the 12th of March to vote. What are the things that they need to understand about our politics?
I only have one message, and that message is when we go to the polling centers, we must put emotion aside and really think about the future of Johor, the people of Johor. And remember, guys, you are going to be the catalyst for Malaysian economy. If we messed up our choices in Johor, it will affect the country. Because Johor is economically advanced and it is a barometer for the economic health of Malaysia. So my message to young voters is, look at Datuk Hasni. You look at his vision and mission, and look at his track record of the party. And forget about the so-called cluster mahkamah and whatnot. That we deal separately. This is about the future of Johor, the people of Johor. Nothing to do with Datuk Zahid, nothing to do with Datuk Najib. This is about Datuk Hasni and his team, and I believe Barisan Nasional is your rightful choice.
Thank you, Datuk RAHMAN DAHLAN, for sharing a very good information to us and inspiring speech along the way. Thank you also to all the audience who's watching Komunikasi Barisan Nasional. And stay tuned with all our programs that we've prepared for you until 12th of March 2022. And don't forget, on the 12th of March, let's vote together and vote for stability. Thank you so much. I'm Muhammad SHAFIQ FHADLY, Komunikasi Barisan Nasional. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.